Okay, what we're going to do today, we are going to look at the information processes. The 7 information processes. I'll start with a summary of them, which we all know that my acronym for it is Common All Students High Tower Defense. Okay. So collecting, organizing, analyzing, storing and retrieving, processing, transmitting and receiving, displaying. Now we're going to look at them one by one. First one is collecting. Now, collecting these stuff are directly from the syllabus. Okay, I'm not going to read it in too much detail. So it's the process by which data is entered into, which is inputted into or captured by a computer system, including these 3 things. Now, collecting needs user either to collect and enter data into the system or to decide how data from an automatic collection device will be collected and entered into the system. What is the difference? One is a keyboard, right? You choose the keyboard and enter data into the system, or like what I'm doing now, I'm using a microphone. It is automatically collecting my voice and entered into the system. So do I need to do anything, specifically? No, not necessarily. Okay. What about a scanner? Okay. Am I entering the actual data? No, the scanner automatically scans the data. Okay. But I am the one, making that scanning. So next thing. Organizing. It's the process by which data is structured into a form appropriate for the use of other information processes. Okay, it is important. It's for the use of other information processes, such as, format in which data will be represented. Let me display it. Now, there's 2 things I want to talk about here. One is called document preparation. That this organizes data for the display purposes. And data preparation, this organizes data for other information processes. Okay, it's a little bit different. We'll look at the example later. So organizing can involve changing data from one type to another. Now, for example, text data may be converted into image data for displaying as a title graphic on a web page, or to audio data to be outputted as spoken words. Numerical data may be converted into text data for display or to be sent as an email attachment. Okay. So basically the stuff you're sending, it's just the number you're sending via email is actually a text data. Analyzing. Analyzing is the process by which data can be represented and summarized so that humans can better understand it. So analyzing is a process that looks for patterns or meaning in data. Its role is to transform data, a collection of raw facts, I'm defining data here, into something useful that we call information. Examples are sorting, searching, creating graphs and charts, performing calculations, or just simply adding descriptions. Okay? Like calculating an average, look for the maximum, look for the minimum, count how many are there. In all these operations, the original data are unchanged. Now, when you're calculating an average, it's just analyzing, but you are actually saving that average to the original data. You're updating the master file of the data, then it becomes a processing. Okay. Now, storing and retrieving is the 2-step process by which data can be saved and reloaded to allow for 4 things: other processing to take place, or a temporary holding the system, or a backup and recovery, or the transfer of data or information. Okay, the easiest thing to write on is other processing to take place. Try not to do the other three. I'll explain to you why you should be focusing on other processings to take place. Okay, it's an exam answering technique. So storing data allows an information system to temporarily hold a data process task, though that other more urgent operations can be performed. This includes allowing the information system to be shut down. Retrieving data allows an information system to continue an interrupted processing task with the same data. Now, processing, it's data being changed or data being manipulated in ways to produce a new value or a new result, like calculating a total, calculating an average, filtering an email, changing the contrast of image. You're actually changing the original data. You're adding additional details. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. The most common example will be adding additional details that were not present in the original data, or removing unwanted data or information. So remember, not just adding, removing, that's processing. Transmitting and receiving. It is the process that transfers information data within and between information systems. What do we mean by within? Another part of the information system, such as data sending to printer to print. Okay. So like your home office, my home office is one big information system. It contains my desktop computer, my camera, my microphone, my sound card, my kiosk, my keyboard, mouse, display, and printer, and all that. Okay, so transmitting and receiving is actually data being transmitted within the whole information system, but between my different devices. Okay, what about the other one? Between information system, that means sending and receiving an email from your email provider server. So that is between your information system and another information system. Okay, and in between that, this is where error detection is required. That's in between. Okay, sorry, this is transmitting and receiving. That's where error detection is required. Displaying, last one. Okay, the method by which information is output from the system to meet a purpose. Displaying is the second process that connects an information system to the real world. So what was the first one? Collecting. Okay, collecting. There are two common ways of displaying: permanent, such as paper hard copy, printed copy, or temporary, a soft copy as a PDF displayed on the screen. Okay, two common ways of displaying. Now, let's have a look at some examples. First, this is diagrammatically representing an information system. It has its purpose, it has its information system, it has participants, data, and information technology. Let's have a look at this one. So this thing is to sell fresh flowers to customers and deliver in minimum time. So there's an information system to do that. So collecting. So customers use the internet to place orders for flowers, and storing, retrieving order and delivery data stored on the central computer, analyzing sales data summarized to produce productivity and performance reports, and transmitting and receiving order transmitted to flower growers, delivery, so that's between information systems, delivery request transmitted to courier delivery service, that's between information systems. Okay, participants, data and information technology. All right, so this is an old example, but I think it's worthwhile for me to bring this one out, just to show you, just to remind you the graphical representation of an information system. They haven't asked a question like this for a very long period of time. but you never know. Next. Now we look at an old question. This is a TPS question, okay? So web ticket allows customer to buy tickets for the major theater and sporting events. That's why I asked you to do a case study on either online ticket booking system for flights or concerts, things like that, or hotel booking. All right. So you can read all this. When the customer visits the company website, they can choose an event, view the seating arrangement, and see what seats are available, choose their seats, and purchase tickets. For the business to run successfully, it is essential that the seating details apply to any customer at any time, in any location. Okay? Anytime, in any location, needs to be absolutely correct. Needs to be correct. Okay? Now, otherwise, there's no margin for error or system failure. Now, first thing, we're looking at collecting. So an event data can be selected by using an event, sorry, my bad, an event date, not data, can be selected by using the clickable calendar. Okay. And what does that mean? I'm explaining that. Customer can also use the graphical representation. So that's one way. Use a graphical representation of the auditorium seating plan to select the desired seats. These can be done by clicking on the icon of each seat using the mouse. So I'm defining what hardware I am using, okay, and what I am inputting, because remember, collecting is an input. What I'm inputting the exactly seats and date. How do I input it? Using a mouse by clicking on the desired things that I want. Okay. Storing and retrieving. Events and seating plans are stored in a relational database file. I should write here events information. So all data and information required to book an event is connected and stored at a central location. This allows, I'm providing reasoning here, this allows faster access and update. The booking information should be stored offsite as well as a backup. Also, the most recent database must be available online for online processes, because data and information are constantly retrieved. I'm using retrieved for real-time transaction processing for a reason, providing why do you need to retrieve that. Now, and you can see there's a link. You should generating a link from there to there. Once it's been collected, then that needs to be updated. Okay, keep going. Processing. The user details, payment records, and event seats brought by the user are constantly being updated or added to the master relational database. So I'm saying update and adding. When a user attempts to select the seats from processing, the selected seats are automatically made unavailable to any other user online to maintain the integrity of the database. This information is updated continuously. So I'm talking about altering what? The master file, the database, okay? The master relational database. So that's why I made it clear it is processing, all right? So this is what I have prepared the answer for, okay? The best thing to do is adding another sentence linking each one of these, okay? That is why when I talk about it, you choose for excuse me, storing and retrieving, all right, you're always mentioning other information systems. I'll show you why. Okay, let's move on. 2008, question 25C. It's a self-checkout system. Remember, I didn't get you guys to do a case study on self-checkout, but I think it's worth to talk about it. The self-checkout system has been designed for large retail stores, allows customers to purchase and pay for goods without using a checkout operator. Transactions are completed using FPOS via debit or credit card. After payment, the stock database is updated for each item purchased. So you can see it's a bit of batched processing there. Now, I've given you an image just in case if you don't know what it is. That's what I'm talking about. Now, first thing about collecting, I'm using that as my I need to talk about that as my collecting device. What is that? That's a barcode scanner. If you want to say it's an infrared barcode scanner, by all means say it. Okay, I think a barcode scanner will do. Now, another thing about collecting. What is this? It's a touch. Don't say this is a keyboard. It's not a keyboard. It's a touch screen with soft keyboard. Okay, or soft keys. You can put it that way. And there are clickable icons. So basically, it's a touch screen. That's the hardware to collect information. It's a hardware that collects information. And so, what is the collecting? The product is scanned by its barcode using the barcode scanner of the self-checkout information system. Analyzing. The product's barcode is collected and organized as a numeric data. So I'm linking collecting with analyzing. Then this data is used to search the relevant product information, such as prices and images of the product. And each product information, such as the product image and unit price, are stored at a local database where user scans a product and the product information is retrieved for analyzing process using the product code number as the identifier to locate, or you can use that to search the product information in the database. So basically storing and retrieving where everything is saved. I'm retrieving that information using what? Retrieving that information for what process? Retrieved for analyzing process. Okay. If you want, this is my, well, if it is a 5-mark question, I think this is a 5-mark. If it's a 6-mark question, I'll be adding a little bit more detail. Just basically, this is roughly it. All right. Just the link between each one of these information systems is very, very important. So I'll pause here just to before I move on, just to see if you have any questions. Let me pause recording. All right, we have a look at 2015 question 23. So it's no longer a TPS question. It's a 5-mark. I want to go in a little bit more detail with this one. All right, so it's a bank. Basically, what this one does is this one's interesting. A bank has introduced an information system that allows customer. This is, if you haven't done this before, if you are actually banking with Commonwealth, you can have a look at this one. All right, this is actually very interesting. Very interesting. So what you can do is the customer can withdraw money by making a request on their mobile phone. And then the customer will be sent a temporary withdrawal code in a text message after making the request. And then that code can be entered on the ATM machine, which is called, I think, cardless withdrawal. And alternatively, rather than you going out, the customer can provide the bank with the mobile phone number of another person so that that person can get the money, get the text message, and withdraw the money. This system can be useful in situations where a customer has lost their card or want to send money to their children or relatives. That's actually a very easy way. Yeah, so that's basically the scenario. What the question is asking is identify components of the information system associated with storing and retrieving, transmitting and receiving, and look at this, the relationship between them. draws out and relates implications to the information system from these information processes. So what are the examples? All right. So it's a 5-mark question. The relationship between them. That's why you can see in my previous example, I'm trying to make a relationship between collecting, storing, and retrieving, and processing. So as you can see, when you're talking about storing and retrieving, if you're talking about just backup or holding a system, it is difficult to connect to analyzing or collecting or displaying. It is difficult to do that. Sorry, processing. It is difficult to do that. Therefore, I always give you, when you talk about storing and retrieving, always bringing other information systems. Sorry, other information processes. Because a 6 marker sometimes can be, okay, analyze this, like this one, analyze this system, regarding the storing, retrieving, transmitting, and receiving these two information processes. So you can have a read of that. Then I'm going to show you this. This is what I found from the notes from Marker. I think this is from a marker of that year who marked the HSC, providing some notes to you. Saying analyze requires student to identify components, show relationships between components, give advantages and or disadvantages, and draw a conclusion based up on the previous discussion. This question has little direction until you unpack the directive word to find what the examiners are looking for. Okay, so this is the notes from the examiner. I think that year, if they are really looking at advantages, disadvantages, it will be difficult, I'll be honest, but it's a 5-mark question. So let's have a look at what Nessa did. Okay, so this is Nessa's answer, not from that marker though. So the Nexus answer is the information systems involve a customer transmitting a withdrawal request via their mobile phone, the hardware, to the bank, and the bank transmitting. So remember, you always use the correct terminology. The bank transmits a withdrawal code to the customer or a person authorized by the customer. So basically, you rewriting the scenario using the correct terminology. Data transmitted may include bank account details, withdrawal amount, and withdrawal code. So what is this? This is, if you're looking at the marking criteria, that's draws out and relates implications. So what are the implications? Okay. You're not, that's talking about what's transmitting is, but here it's talking about what's being transmitted. So that's the implication. These data must be received without error and without compromising the privacy of the customer and the security of the data. Okay, and that's further implications. Security measures such as encryptions and transmission error checking should be implemented. If the data is not transmitted or received correctly, the information process of storing, retrieving will be meaningless. All right, so a bit of advantage and disadvantage. It's not that clear. That's not all of the answer. That's only first half of the answer, mostly regarding transmitting and receiving. Now, details of the customer's withdrawal request, such as the withdrawal amount, date, time, confirmation, and the authorized person's mobile phone number, should be stored in the bank's database accurately and securely, so they can be retrieved for statement processing or in case of disputes. For example, a customer may complain. See, whenever you give an example, remember in trials, I'll talk about be specific, right? Let's look at the way they have been be specific means a customer may complain that a withdrawal code is given to an unauthorized person. That's a very specific scenario. Do you need to write a lot? No, but think, always have it in your bag, have it in your pocket, some short and sharp sentences to describe a scenario. That's why we do a lot of case studies. Ensure the security of the data stored. access should be restricted to authorized personnel and backup procedures should be implemented. So it's a little bit overkill. It's more implications of what's, other than just looking at what's being stored and what's being retrieved. So that's Nexus sample answer. There's some good stuff in there. Now I'm going to show you the Marcus full answer. All right. Components that allow storage and retrieval include hard drives and cloud drives to house distributed database needed by the customer. So identifying what the hardwares are involved in storing and retrieving. Components needed for transmitting and receiving include 3G and 4G mobile data, wireless in networking, fiber optical cabling, to all being used to maintain an Ethernet network that will allow for data transmission to occur. Basically talking about all the hardware here. Then within the Ethernet framework, a variety of protocols run that ensure smooth, orderly data transmission. And given the examples given, including TCP/IP and all these things, SSL and security. And then these communication protocols allow for the phone to securely read and write database records to allow for money to be transferred. This system has the advantage of being convenient to use. Now, this examiner is talking about advantages. Allows customer to get their money easily without the need to enter a branch to get it. It will work very well at night when the banks are closed and could provide a way of helping people who do not take an ATM card with them when they're going out. Basically, this is actually written in the scenario. If you look at carefully, that is actually written in the scenario. This can be used for in situations. Basically, they're telling you what the advantages are. All right. Now, let's move on. It is also could provide criminals with easy access to a victim's money, particularly if the victim's phone security is minimal and the phone goes missing. There is an issue if the authorized user's phone, the security is lax. That means there's not much security in there. Then on the whole, the concept of allowing access to an online database system is what? Without the ATM, need ATM card, so no plastic card as long as customers make sure their phone is secure, things like that. So this is some HSC marker providing his view of the answer. So if you ask me, what's my take? I'll be very honest with you. I'll go back to the marking criteria. All right. So it is worthwhile studying the marking criteria for this type of questions, so you know what they're asking for. And then you develop your formula of answers based on this. Okay, I'll stop here.